Okay, so I did a really extensive job of picking out the other day and I posted it. So, and I've done a little bit of miscellaneous picking this morning. I picked at this, it pulled out all the way around. I started up here and I got up a piece of dead skin and it was laminated all the way up to there. And it all just peeled out from underneath that stack of nails. And that's all pretty tender. I pulled out some loose scrum there. That was callous. Scabbed over. It's where I pulled out and it bled. And it was real crumbly stuff like that. So that's all real tender. I pulled out a little bit over here. But here you can see how this is laminated in. Let's see if I can. That right there. See, when that picks out, you'll be able to see that's how that's all stuffed up underneath the nail. And I don't really want to pick at it, and I'm not going to do a whole big thing here. But I just want you to see what's going on with the layers. You can just pull it. You just can pull on it. And it will cause it to separate. Like always with callus, if you're not careful, it can take off and run and go too deep. And you can get into living tissue that way. But mostly this is such an incredible buildup that it would be hard, if you're peeling away like this layer by layer, it would be hard to actually have it nosedive down into living tissue unless you got too far back here. It will taper off. And this texture of the skin, this is what you see up here. This is all dead skin too. It's dead underneath and on top. I've got dead cell material under here, those white lumps. And then somewhere between there and here, there's a living layer of skin. But this top layer, it's as dead as sunburned skin. I don't want to pick at that too much. That's not really what I'm about here. What I wanted you to see was how that's laminated. The skin was just laminated up in there. And it has to turn loose. It has to turn loose of the nail and let the nail move out, because that's all just bogus stuff. Now, we'll see how tender this is. Hopefully, this is just callus here. And if I can get it picked, it'll peel out all the way around, like this one over here did. You see, I started back here and with a crust like that, only I was pulling it this way, and I got the point in there, and it picked up a callousy, piece of dead skin. And I just worked it that way and that way and that way and kept the point underneath there. And it worked all the way around till it tapered back out. And I had already exposed this over here. But this was buried all the way up to there, all the way around there. Don't get scared. We're not going to be here all day on this one. I just want to show you. Keep this short and sweet here. Oop, well, that pulled that off. See, but this is all flubber. All of this. This is all dead skin. And it's all going to come off. Maybe not today because I took off so much. I took off so much stuff in the last couple of days that my pretty much don't have a place to work because my fingers are uniformly tender. Very sensitive, pretty much everywhere because I've, been sticking a knife in there. Ugh. You see how that works? A second ago, you might have thought all that was nail, right? And this over here is some kind of applique on the side. Which may all come off in a piece. But I don't want it to yet. And that is where I bled myself the other day pretty good. And that's just, so that's bubbling up and drying out and making a crust like a regular scab. I don't want to pick at it. But that's how you can get it to pop lid. You press down on it. Once you get it to a point that you realize what's going on, you can just pull down on that and get it to separate. And you'll see the separation line then, and you can pick it out. So, and that's all laying on top of skin. See, this is skin underneath, or interleaved back and forth, but it's all the same thing. It's a massive buildup of trash. That's not a real nail. Nail is all one piece. It's a hard shell. It's not supposed to be layers and layers and layers of indeterminate stuff that's part skin, part scab, part nail, part this and that, all kind of mashed together in a undifferentiated composite. It's all wrong. This has gotten really good now. See, and I had these nice looking nails. After I quit biting my fingernails, my body made nice new cover nails. They grew out, they looked normal, they looked like regular nails. I was so happy. I could scratch, I could scratch my head, I could scratch behind my dog's ears. I could pick up a dime, off a countertop without sliding it off the edge. I thought I'd done it. I thought we were good, good to go. And then I realized I had problems, and I started trying to get back and peel this stuff back, and the damage went more and more and more, deeper and deeper and deeper. Now we're getting back. This is really very tender down in here. I have got some stuff. Is it here? There's one of these. This one here. That is there's a remnant of top nail that came off, and it may have come off years ago, but I think you can maybe. It's hard to see because it's on the dark side, but it's right there. Okay, and I pulled out a piece of it right here, and it was very painful this morning to get out, and it was just a tiny little piece. but it's the edge of a top nail that's cemented in there all the way around. And it's going to be the very devil to get out. Uh, yeah, that may be part of it. That's skin, I think. But up there, there's a remnant of nail that's just buried, laminated in living tissue, and that's the very devil to get out. And you see that starting to separate there. See all this stuff here. You see where it's starting to pull apart? Yeah, what is this? What is this stuff here? Is it nail? Is it skin? Is it both? But it's definitely separate from that, right? That line that comes around, we don't know yet. And we don't know how painful it's going to be. But I got in there this morning and tried to pull some of that out, but it was just way too painful for me to try to deal with. But you see, it's on the side out there. But it's all got to go. It's jamming up the works. And see, I've got a side nail over here. How that wings out. That's going to come off. And then I'll see what's under there. How much there. But here's the kicker. Yesterday, for the first time, I was on the bus. And the guy sitting next to me was a homeless guy with no teeth. And he looked at my hands and he said, "My God, man," he said, "what happened to your finger? What happened to your fingernail?" See, but this was always there. This is what happened to my fingernails 40 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago. This is what happened to my fingernails when I was 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old. And nothing has changed from then to now, except now I can see it again. It's been under there the whole time. All of that pressure, all of this multiple layers of damage, it's all been cemented up in there underneath whatever kind of continual process. Every time you do damage, then the body puts out more nail material, tries to cover it over and cement it all back together. Like putting out a skim coat over spalted concrete, just giving a thin coat on top. Like building up they come out and they spray a little water on an ice rink to fill up the cuts and the divots from where they played. See, all this is laminated up on front. That's all dead. It'll all pull off. How far back can I go? You believe me? all dead skin. And I could just keep, and tomorrow, whatever I take off today is going to make the layer underneath dry up by tomorrow. If I don't take anything off today, the next layer down won't be dried up tomorrow. I have to get this off first, and then what comes next. And you see how that's just laminated in deeper. This whole lip here is built up. I just scraped it off over here. Right? And I could take this all the way back around up in here. I could take that all the way up there, like that. That collar runs round and round and round and round. It's all one piece cuticle. And it's all been hiding under these top nails, repair nails, that the body makes every time you do damage. Does a good job of covering this stuff up and hiding it. It stayed hidden from me for many years. You see, that's digging that groove out. That's laminated in that groove, and you see how the skin was sitting there and the nail came out over it. The plastic nail material, finally the skin built up and up and up, and the plastic nail material started to leak over the dead cuticle skin to the side and lay on top of it instead of going down inside in a semicircular shape. Cylindrical shape down under the side. The skin builds up on the side. And the nail coming out no longer attaches to the nail bed. It escapes to the side and flows out like pancake batter. Ooh-wee. Just the many layers. Some of that is just rubbery scrum. It just got covered over. That's why it just scrapes off the way it does. And when the top cover nail comes off, it's so soft that it will break up on its own, and that's when you get this horrible texture that people see all of a sudden. And that's why I said before, the nails are very durable, but they're not permanent. So if this nail gets trapped, or for whatever reason, this big top beautiful cover nail that you've got, if it breaks up and disintegrates and comes apart, that in itself wouldn't necessarily look all that terrible. But when you get that top nail off, all this junk that it's covering up, which has also been made to look smooth, but it's softer material. It's not uniformly hard like a nail is supposed to be. And then it disintegrates wildly. And you're looking at it, and the texture's all rough, and pieces of it are coming off, and then you go, that's when they go, oh no, I've got psoriasis of the nails. No, what you've got is disintegrating nails. It's not a disease. It's a symptom of piss poor nail maintenance that you weren't doing. And you don't it is not necessary that you ever bit your fingernails. All you had to do was just not do your nail maintenance every day. The damage wouldn't be as bad. It's much worse if you bit your fingernails. But biting your fingernails is just a compounding factor. There's more damage to cover over. But you'll have problems just from letting this dead cell material back up in your system. I might be able to get that little tail, see, with my forceps and pull it out. That's 2 layers there at least. There's that one, right, and there's this one underneath. And I might be able to grab it and pull it out from underneath the nail. See, the nail came out over that when it formed. But the damage was already well along, long before all of that happened. And that's just, see, that's not, I'm not tearing into living tissue there. This is a separate layer. And it's just tearing out on that fault line. Right? So I can pull that out all the way around without making the next layer bleed unless I just slip. You know, I am probing with a knife. An X-Acto knife. A razor blade, for crying out loud. Carefully selected for maximum dullness. Hello, little girl. Are you tired of being ignored, honey? Even though I'm digging in there a little bit, it's not really living tissue. It's this huge amounts of dead cuticle. That's just very soft, and it's almost like it's disintegrating on its own, and it's because it's dead. It's like dead sunburned skin. It doesn't even have the texture of skin. It's like it's mushy. It's just a dead layer of something that used to be skin, and it still kind of looks like skin. But it's constantly coming off, and now I see it. I never used to see it, but I can see it now after a shower. You know, that what looks like dry skin, it's actually dead skin. And I'll look like I have a ghost white powder coat on the backs of my fingers when I get out of the shower after I dry off. Took off the top layer first. I have to be really careful here. Ooh. It's extremely dicey in the corners there. Makes you hold your breath. Yeah. Well, let's see if there's anything else obvious here. It's all real tender from the other day. There we go. Mm-hmm. Hold your breath on some of this stuff, you know. And you see there's skin under there, under that nail. It's not the end of it. There's more and more and more. Because when I was a kid, I had my nail bitten off all the way back to there, maybe. And that means there's skin right up to there, all the way out to here. And all of this is sitting on skin. None of it is attached to the nail bed. It's all bogus. It's all got to go. You see that? That's more skin under there. And not just down here, but up here. That's not nail. That right there is skin. And it's been buried under there for half a century. Where it's not supposed to be. You don't get the layers. How many years Just day by day by day, building up layer after layer after layer. Just one after another. So, it's going to get ugly. Getting up underneath there. But that's the nail there. That's where I bit it off. And this is probably a side nail that was made. It flowed out, and the loose material, wet material, came out and covered that damage and tried to harden up a little bit, and then another nail came out over it. But it was buried down in here. That's why that's why it's so ugly trying to get it out. It's buried down there in living tissue. No, there it went. Most of it. There's more there. It's right up against the... trying to hide. May have been what I got into yesterday that bled so badly. Yeah. Give it a little more time and maybe it'll work loose on its own. Or dry up, you know. Probably a remnant of a top nail or a cover nail or a repair nail that's buried down. The remnants of it are buried down in here in this living tissue, which makes it very difficult. You pull it out and that does bleed. That's not like pulling out cuticle skin. These old nails, see these These old remnants of old nails are buried down and the skin is built up and up and up over them and embalm them. So if you get a hold of a piece of one like that and pull it, you're pulling from way down underneath there. And blood will flow out like water out of a well. But every bit of this you're looking at is dead skin. All of that buildup, you see that ridge there. Okay, that's all buildup. The nail wants to roll right on over and down and then disappear. There's not supposed to be any buildup. There's not supposed to be any dead skin like that on the side of the finger. I think your finger is not supposed to be any wider than your fingernail. So if you've got, some of these pictures I've got on my gallery are ridiculous. It's a nail is a third the width of the fingertip. There's as much skin on each side of the fingernail as there is fingernail. And there's as much in front, and that's because, it's the same. The cuticle is the same. The buildup is the same all the way around. People just don't see it. But all of that, this is going to dry up, and that looks like it's living tissue underneath there, that's not the bottom. That's not the end of it. That's just the next layer. And when this dries up and flakes off, this will dry up and flake off. You see how this is all, when you follow that around, you see that this side's still all laminated in. And this is very tender here where I pulled it the other day. But that's all scrum. It's all trash. It's all got to go. Every bit of it. And down there somewhere is my real nail bed, which hasn't had a real nail attached to it in, 60 or 70 years. If I ever unbury it, I'll have a chance of having real nails again. But until then, no. And any time I stop, now that all of this is loosened up, this nail material will just flow out, and in a couple of weeks, it'll start to, before I picked at this the other day, this one I picked at this one, but that's new nail, If I could let something like that pass for okay, I could have a bunch of nails that look pretty much like that and look pretty much, if you could not see the grooves in it, which come from that trash that's up underneath there, scraping the surface of the soft, malleable nail material as it comes out, grooving it. But it would look newer and fresher and smoother, and in a couple of weeks you'd have something that would pass for nails, and it would look normal compared to what people are used to seeing. That's not a good gauge of what's actually right. Because what you see out there is a lot of damage. I'm seeing a lot of damage now that I'm looking. That's soft. See, that's just rubbery stuff that's come out and filled in that hole where that. topish nail. And that whole side nail will come off. Because all of that rounded shape is wrong. The sides of the nail are supposed to be straight. This is just where it's leaked out. It got built up too high. You see the remnant of the old nail there hiding under all this scrum? It's pretty tender. I don't want it. But you see there's that. That's a pick line right there. Right? And here's another one. See how that's laminated up underneath there? And now you see that this is a separate line right there. And that's all dead skin too. It comes all the way around here. Woo, that's a little tender. Very tender, you know. But you see how loose all this is? That's like they call it keratin or whatever. It's like when you get into a rhino horn or something and it's just all crumbly. See, I'm not cutting tissue there. I'm just rolling that dead skin out. trying to get down underneath the nail and pull it out and up and around. That just popped out. Over right there. And there you see, that's dead skin. Dead cuticle skin. It's a cuticle line. Mm-hmm. And I wash my hands and scrub a little bit, with a soft brush. And tomorrow it'll look normal. Or it'll look like this, which I haven't picked at today really, except back here. But you see, that'll all pick out. All that's dead, all that, right there. That'll come out. Because it's already dried up. And this is just waiting to dry up. You can see all the layers that have already been picked at. Kind of irregular lines that run all through there like fingerprint lines, but they aren't. So when we started, right, that was all filled up right up to there, right? And all of that, I just got a knife under the edge of that and I just pulled it out all the way around. I could go ahead and take another layer there if I wanted to. You hear? There's nothing. There's nothing to it. How about you? Right there. At a certain point, you're supposed to get a clue, and get to work. It's not for entertainment value here. And I'm certainly not doing this for psychiatric cases that like to cut their skin, cut on themselves. It's not for mental defectives here. It's just for people who got a problem or waking up to it and want to do something about it. It's not cheap entertainment value. I could get into trouble here at any time, Let's go a little too far. Skin, right? That was covered with that a second ago. That's nail. It scales that way. And this is skin. It scales this way. Layers and layers and layers and hundreds of layers. If you're biting through your cuticle every day when you're biting the corners of your nails, then you've had generated one new cuticle every day for as many years as you've been doing that. Because the cuticle is all one piece and it runs all the way around. And you leave every single one of those sitting in there. And you go into the next day and it builds up another, it covers over, you're cutting away at it and it's building up and covering away and building up. Coming right back and trying to grow a new cuticle to replace the one you just killed. And the nails are building up and up and up. This dead cell material is still trying to make it out. It's the waste of the body. It's still trying to make it out every day, and it's coming out and covering all the damage. So, and there's another ledge, you know. It's going to look like you haven't made any progress because it's just another ledge and another ledge. It replicates itself. It looks exactly like what's underneath and what's going to come over it. Every day you'll make another one, and you keep digging out and digging out and digging out, and what you get is another ledge and another ledge and another ledge. Ooh. Ooh, let's see. So I wasn't planning to get too extensive today. Like I say, my fingers are real sensitive from yesterday and the day before. I made 2 or 3 hour-long or more than hour-long videos, and I was really, really, really pushing it, really picking at myself really good. And it does take a day or two before you start to recover from it. But like I said, it's all got to come off. It's all damaged. It's all got to come off, and everything you get off is gone. And you have to deal with what comes next, which is tedious, but you don't have to deal with what's gone again. It's gone. Unless you stop before you get all the damage off and let it go back the way it was. Just accept the fact that you're going to have another cover nail come out, and you say, okay, that's it. That's good enough. I'm not going to push it. But now that I know what's going on, I want absolutely all of the damage off. All gone away. I mentioned in one of the first videos I made this one of these bogus bargains with God. So no, this is an exercise in futility, but if at all possible, I'd like to get rid of all this garbage, all this damage, and be buried with an undamaged body, to the extent that I can do it, at least as far as the fingernails go. because I don't have that long to live, actually. But it doesn't mean I want to go to the grave with mangled fingers. And almost immediately, this stuff just started falling off, falling away. It's kind of like praying for fish hooks. But if it works, it works. Ow, phew, ouch, that hurt. Ouch, ouch, ouch. I wanted to get that out, but it didn't want to come. It's right next to this really bad, spot from yesterday or the day before. Oh, golly. It is so tender in there, it is. Ouch, 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 ouch. Oh, golly. It's just so close and it's not coming. Oh, boy. Oh, well. Well, like I said, it's okay to leave something for tomorrow. It's still going to be there. It's been there for 50 years. Ooh. And I'd like to get that out too, but it doesn't want to come either. All of this stuff is real tender now. Oh, well. Oh, yeah, well. I got a little something. See, every little bit helps. Hard bump there, and it's still all laminated in, and it's still buried in dead. You see, that wants to be a well. This is just a bumper, and it rolls. It's rolled. It's all dead skin, and it rolled right up and over the nail bed. You see how mangled that is. That gets it. The further it's not clean anymore. Before I was pulling out strips of dead cuticle, but now I'm into all the stuff that's interleaved, and it is a real painful process. It's not like the good old days here. We're down to the nitty-gritty now. Oh boy. So you can see that the texture of this skin here this is dead skin. Two layers. This one and this one. See? You see how that's pulling out from underneath. That will break loose. It has. And that's another layer right there. You see it separating. You can tell it's not up against the nail and it's not up against the cuticle on the outside. It's in between. I'm not talking about that I'm pulling on, but down in there, deeper. It's probably too flexible to get it and pull it, but it's just going to break. Oh, no, well. See? And that's more right there. More trash. It'll pick out tomorrow. It'll dry up or whatever. But you see how irregular that is. You have nail spilled out over skin, and then skin over nail, and then nail over skin. In case you don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about strips of cuticle skin, that's a strip. It's rubbery. Poorly formed nail. Delaminating. That's what we're doing here. It's revealing that groove, that gully. It's just perpetually reforms and gets refilled with dead cuticle skin. Builds up layer after layer after layer. And when you uncover it, you see it again and again and again. You know, it looks just the same. See? You see the groove under, right? Underneath there, down there. Came right out from under there. That's pretty tender. I'm going to leave it alone. As ugly as it is, you know, the nail just has to get broken loose from this embalming skin. And another layer. Yeah. You see this is still projecting out, but that wants to be round. You know, this bumper is still that's all dead callus, all dead cuticle. None of it's supposed to be there on the front of my finger. None of it. So that's still laminated and they're really good, this piece. I don't want to dig at it. That could be anything, you know. Could be the downside of a top nail that eroded away. And that's the edge of it that's buried in hard to tell what it is actually. If it wants to come out or don't want to come out. Depends on how deeply buried it is. But you see, this is in the middle here. It's not this, and it's not this. What is it? Trash is what it is. It's got to go. Ow, 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 ow. It may not want to go today. I don't know how gutsy I'm feeling. It's just like peeling up latex, like gum. You can see it stretching underneath. Finally breaks away. You see, those are all different layers. I'm just irritating it. I'll do it better just by letting it, leaving it alone and letting it dry up, washing my hands a couple of times, rather than picking at it like that. I just want you to see the separation of the layers. This is just going to be over and over and over. I had been doing this for 2 years before I started figuring out what was actually going on. That's just how much buildup I had. Dog, what are you doing? You okay? Where you been hiding? Hmm? Hey. Hey, old dog. Yeah, he's getting old. Yes, he is. Yes, he's getting to be an old dog. Yes, hello. just all dead skin. So I'm going to leave that poor finger alone. Did you see this? I got the same thing going on over here. This is all got to come out. That's all getting grody now, dried up. And we got layers and layers and layers of junk and old junk that wants to come out on that side. I don't necessarily want to pick at it anymore. What you doing, Brandy? Dead, dead, dead. Came right out from under there. It was just gotten so dry that it wanted, it was hollering at me. That's this morning. And there's plenty more where that came from. And I haven't had breakfast yet. Can you believe that? Cuticle line exposed, perfectly round. Big bumpers showing now that the nails are breaking back. This is still sticking out over, the cuticle line is back here. But there's more and more and more because it shrinks. It goes down and down more you take off, less it is. So there's no telling how much, if all of this was gone, you'd see how much of the nail bed is left exposed. And it's probably a really small circle right in the middle. So built up dead skin over all of it repetitively. And then, and so what it is like if I had bitten off my fingernails up to here, up right up to there, and then it formed skin. Think about it without the nail. If I'd formed skin there over that to cover all of this damage here, right? All of this where I'd bitten away the nail. Then the nail bed's exposed, so this comes in and it makes skin right up to there. From then till now, all my nails have just been, you see how this would then go here, the cuticle go right to there, and then right back under, right over to there. That means all your nails are squeezing out between there and there. They're not, there's no chance that there's a skin underneath from there out. So there's no chance from that point on that they've ever been attached to the nail bed. They've been bogus nails ever since then. So if you ever bit your nails, that's what you did. If you ever did bit your nails badly. And that's separate from just the problems you get from not pushing back the cuticle every day and freeing. Then you get jammed up dead cell material back here that builds up and up and up. But the biting your fingernails is just a compounding factor. And there's a guy I've got, and I've showed his picture. I said, psoriasis of the nails, a severe case or something. And shows this guy, and he's got his hand, he's holding onto a pole. He's sitting in a seat in the bus, and he's holding onto the pole. And then there's another shot of him sitting with his hands in his lap like this, and he's working his hands constantly like this because they're so irritated. But there's this huge mass of callus that's built up, and his nail, even though it's way out here, it's forced out obviously in a narrow wedge between there and there, there and there. And it spreads out really wide, and it's got skin all around it, but the nail is like this wide. And it's got skin wrapped around it, and there's one shot where I've got it on the side, and it comes out to the side, and there's another whole like round boil of callus, just a big wide circle of callus all around where this nail has leaked out parallel to the side. It's extremely distressing for me to look at because I know how, and he rubs it with his fingers like that. I know how distressing it is. And it's much worse than mine ever was. But his thumb actually looks mutilated, like somebody smashed it with a mallet. It's so flattened out. This is a serious source of medical problems, and nobody seems to get it. So I guess that's enough for one day, huh? See, all this is dry now. I could go back, I could spend another 2 hours picking at that and this, peeling stuff it down, peeling dead skin off. But the deal is the nails are still frozen. All of this old damage is still buried in huge amount of dead skin, and it's not moving. It's not moving out. This new nail material that's coming out from behind is bubbling up because it can't get past this yet. All of this dead skin has got to go, and all of this old accumulation of nail has got to go before I have a chance of having new right-shaped, healthy nails. And that's where I'm headed. That's my goal. So that's your pick fest for today. Look at that. You see, it's all the way back here. Look at, see, this is still sticking out here, but see, it's going to collapse back. Let's see, that circle now wants to be there. And before it looked like it wanted to be out here, right? But when we take this nail off, it's going to come right tight here. And this is encroaching here, and this is encroaching here. And that, there's no telling how little of the nail bed is actually exposed down there. None of it's exposed, but it hasn't been completely obliterated by this, I don't think. I think there's still some free area, but it's just got trash piled on top of it. So it's just this is like a waste bin. The circle is making a well that's filled up with scrum, dead nail garbage. It all has to go. We have to go right back. See, it's just wild, isn't it? Look at that. See, there's this out here. That line out there. But then there's this, when this comes off, this line's going to be inside here. Like that. So no telling how much of the nail bed has been encroached on by this dead cuticle skin. But when I started, it was probably a half an inch all the way around or more. And it all has to go away, and all of this is fake. All of this is flubber on the front of my... I think it's supposed to be a nail bed out there. And very little else. We'll know when we get there. So there you have it for today.